competency levels. The reason it's important to know competency levels is because you would adjust the way that you speak to a customer based on the competency level of that customer. Let me just explain what these are, and then we'll talk about how to identify them. The first level is called unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence simply means I don't know, but I don't know I don't know. This is the person who's padded her resume to get the job, doesn't really know these products, is now sitting in front of the computer, doesn't know where to begin, and calls you. And you say, okay, well, let's move our mouse to the file menu, and she says, okay, what's a mouse? This is the person who is at base level. Level 2 is conscious incompetence. A level 1 quickly goes to a level 2 when they're placed in front of a computer. Now they see everything that they don't know about this thing. Conscious incompetence just means I don't know, but at least now I know I don't know. Level 3 is called conscious competence. This is the person who knows enough to do their daily tasks on the computer. Conscious competence is I know, and at least now I know that I know. And then level 4 is unconscious competence. This is the power user. This is the person that calls you and says, yeah, I found an error in your installation program. I wrote some code to correct it. Do you want me to send it down to you? Or this could be the person that calls you and has a condescending attitude himself because he's sure he knows more than you already. And now he kind of resents having to call you, but he is having a problem. So he calls you and he has the attitude of, let's see what you can do, hotshot. And so he's not going to be very forthcoming with information. He's probably going to give short yes and no answers to your questions. Okay. Now, that's not always the case. A lot of power users are very cooperative. But in a lot of cases, they're not. How do you deal with these? Well, level 1, unconscious competence. You know this person because they are blissfully ignorant. That's how you know them. That's how you identify them. They haven't seen the full weight of what's ahead of them. Once they become a level 2, you know them because they're fearful. And they'll call and they'll be constantly apologizing to you. They'll say things like, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid. Or I'm sorry, I have to keep calling you with this. I really apologize, I'm bothering you again. That's a level 2. Both a level 1 and level 2 need training, badly. And you can't give it over the phone unless, of course, you're in Pam's position where they want their customers to call with those kinds of questions. Okay, you've got a remote access to the desktop. That's great. That's one of the first things you want to get as a help desk. We'll talk about that on Thursday. But a level 2 is fearful, and so you're going to have to reassure them. You're going to have to hold their hand, let them know it's okay, you haven't broken anything. These kinds of things happen all the time. We can get you out of it. Don't be afraid to press the key. Level 3, you know this person because they have attempted a solution. They'll call and they'll say something like, you know, I'm having this problem and I looked it up on online help and it said to try this, and so I tried that and it still doesn't work. They're not afraid to attempt a solution. Now, they may not be able to implement the solution, but they're not afraid to attempt it. That's how you know a level 3. A level 4, as I said before, can be very condescending. The way to deal with a level 4, especially one who's very condescending, is you have to acknowledge his greatness. That's the only way you can do it. You cannot argue with this person. They probably do know more than you. And they're going to show you. They'll be quick to point out your error. And so the only thing you can do is acknowledge his greatness. Sounds like you know an awful lot about this product. Just so I don't waste your time, can you tell me what you've tried so far? Okay. Once you've acknowledged their greatness, they will be forthcoming with information, but you have to do it first. Otherwise, there's going to be this big struggle to see who has the upper hand here. Give them the upper hand and go on. Okay. Now, level 3 is where you want most of your users. You want them to be able to do their job and call you only when they're having real problems. The level 2 and the level 1 need training, and you can't do that training over the phone in most cases. So let me give you a couple of suggestions. First of all, if you don't have a training program for your end users, you should be thinking of one. There need to be classes in place for beginning users, but you can't stop there because those classes tend to seem like a waste of time to a level 3. They won't go to these classes because they've been to one and they only learned one new thing and they spent 6 hours. So you have to do something else. You have to also provide what are called workshops. A workshop is, we're having an access workshop next Monday from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the computer room. Come with your projects and your questions. That kind of user can go, get their specific question answered, and leave. It's more of a just enough, just in time type of training. Rather than sit through and the problem with agenda-driven classes is just that. They're agenda-driven. They're not user-driven. And so everybody who goes to a beginning class first learns how to type in something. They learn how to save a file. They learn how to close a file. They learn how to open a file and then print a file. And that's pretty much the whole morning. If you've got somebody who already knows those things, it's a waste of time for them. So you have to provide also these workshops. The other thing you can do is provide support, that kind of support where you're doing training over the phone, but charge for it. A lot of help desks do this. They'll say, looks like this is your third, maybe they'll give them 2 or 3 leeway calls where they can call and they can ask their specific question, of a how-to question, which is a training question. And then after 3, it might be a billable charge to the department. And you might even say, if you can arrange this, not all help desks are set up this way, but if you can arrange it, you can say, it looks like this is your 3rd training call. Just to inform you, we will be charging this to your department. Is there another option you'd like to pursue first? Okay, that's one way of handling it. Another way of handling it is to write it in your service level agreement that they have to take a class first. So if you're offering classes, you might give them, again, 3 free questions without taking the class. And when they call the 3rd time, say, it looks like this is your 3rd time calling. I just wanted to inform you that the next time you call, they're going to be asking you about the class. So I'll go ahead and sign you up for the next class, if you don't mind. Sign them up for the class. Help them register with the class so they understand how to use the project or the product that they are supposed to be using. Okay. Now, if you do have to do training over the phone, you got to make it stick. And the only way you can do that is to make sure you're incorporating as many senses as possible. When you're creating independent users, that is, you're taking them from level 1 and a level 2 to a level 3. You want to keep them around level 3. In order to do that, you got to be respectful. You can't be condescending. That's the first point here. Ask questions. Get them to open up, especially a level 2. Remember, level 2s are going to be tentative. They're going to be afraid. So you got to get them opened up, build rapport with them, get them calmed down, get clarification of what they've done. Use positive reinforcement. Instead of saying, you did what? I can't believe you did that. Who told you to do that? Or, why are you doing it that way? Remember that question, why? Instead of saying questions like that or asking questions like that, you might want to ask, or say this instead. Boy, you know, I haven't seen that way of doing it. Let me show you how I do it. This usually works well for me. That's more of a positive reinforcement way of doing it. Show them how to do it, and then get them to show you how. So walk them through the steps. But then don't stop there. Get them to walk you back through. Just so I'm sure I haven't left anything out here, would you mind just walking me back through those steps again? If they can do that, it's going to stick. And then send in reinforcements. Show them where online help is. Show them where the user manual is. Show them how to use it. Most users know it's available, they just don't know how to use it. So you might say something like, well, let's go ahead and press F1 and bring up the online help system and say, let me show you how to find that feature here. This sounds like a feature used an awful lot. Let's go ahead and place a bookmark there so that when you come back, all you got to do is click on the bookmark. Show them how to use the resources that are available. Don't just tell them they are available. How many of you have a help desk website that's interactive with your customers? Anybody? Okay, several of you do. It's always a good idea to have a sort of a user's corner on there. Something, for instance, if one of the products that you support is Excel, you might have an Excel corner and just have tips for using Excel. Especially and you want to take these tips, by the way, from your most common problems that people are calling about that are actual training issues. This is going to require that you look through the call logs and find out, okay, what are they asking about here? Let's go ahead and compile an answer and put it on the website. Okay? That's where you should be getting the sources. That's the source of your primary knowledge for tips and tricks. Have a tips and tricks section. Have an FAQ section. You might even have a user discussion board that's driven by power users. This is also an excellent way of getting power users involved, by the way, and tapping into that resource. Let them drive the discussion board. Set it up, monitor it, so there are no technological heresies floating around, like how to change your environment. But let the power users drive it. They love answering those kinds of questions. And it kind of frees you to do real problem solving.